Hi, I'm Blake,
I'm Mike.
and this is a video that's an intro to Goldfinch. We're going to talk about what it is, why it's even here in the first place, how it works, and some examples of how it's being used today. Let's first talk about what it is. Goldfinch is a decentralized credit platform that allows anyone to be a lender, not just banks.
Yeah, and I think it helps before diving into the specifics of how the protocol works to talk about why it is that we're all building this and what we're hoping Goldfinch can be. And this is really based upon two core beliefs that we have about the world. The first is that increasingly investors are going to seek new sources of yield and they're going to demand access to them. And we think this in the context of bond rates hitting some of their lowest rates ever and it becoming harder and harder to find great sources of yield. We already see examples of investors demanding new sources of yield, such as all of the craze around yield farming and coming to crypto. And so we think this is just the beginning of a new wave of investors really looking for different types of yield and demanding access to them. The second core belief that Goldfinch is founded on is that economic activity is going to increasingly move on chain. And I think it's helpful to start with examples of, like, we've talked to businesses that their customers are asking these businesses to create crypto accounts for them. And it's both consumers and merchants who are looking for these crypto accounts. It isn't because they want to speculate in crypto, it's because they view crypto as a safer alternative to their local currencies. And when we have consumers looking for crypto accounts and merchants looking for crypto accounts, it's inevitable that the consumers will just directly transact with those merchants through crypto. And that will make all of these transactions programmable. So that's the second belief. So you take all of this economic activity moving on chain, becoming increasingly programmable. Then you add to it this new wave of investors who are seeking and demanding new sources of yield. And this is going to create and lead to a new system where anyone in the world is able to basically extend a loan to any transaction in the world. A way that we think about this is, what if Visa rails were to become open sourced? And it wasn't just the really huge banks that could provide credit towards these individual transactions, but anybody could provide credit towards them. Anyone could basically be a lender towards these transactions, even a smart contract. And for this to even be able to happen, there needs to be some kind of a marketplace and organizing mechanism that allows all of this activity to take place. And this is ultimately what we're all trying to build here with Goldfinch, is to basically create this marketplace that can organize all of this activity.
Yeah, and so now let's get a little more specific. Goldfinch, as a protocol, has four main participants. One is borrowers, the second is backers, the third is liquidity providers, and the fourth is auditors. Let's start with borrowers. They are companies who are seeking loans. Then they create borrower pools. And then those borrower pools are assessed by the backers. Backers are individuals who assess those borrower pools and they put up their own capital as first loss, highest risk capital into those borrower pools. The third is liquidity providers. They put capital into a senior pool smart contract. That smart contract is then, the protocol automatically allocates capital from the contract into these borrower pools based on the level of consensus it sees from the backers. And last, you have auditors. Auditors act as a human level check against fraud and other malicious activity that could take place on the protocol. They vote to approve borrowers before those borrowers are allowed to draw down any capital. Now let's try and see how all these pieces fit together. This is a diagram of how the Goldfinch protocol works. So let's start at the bottom. You see these borrowers. Again, these borrowers are going to be companies. Right now they're fintech companies around the world who are seeking loans. They would create a borrower pool saying, hey, I want to borrow $1 million and I'm willing to pay X% interest, and I'm going to have Y repayment rate and frequency, and the maturity date is going to be Z. And so with these terms, the backers, the borrowers will then bring this borrower pool to the backer community, and they'll answer questions from the backers. They might supply documents, anything that the backers need to get comfortable with this, because the backers are going to supply their own money into the junior tranche. And so as the backers do that, as you see more backers supplying capital into the junior tranche, the protocol sees that, oh, this is a trustworthy borrower pool, and it's able to then automatically allocate capital from the senior pool into the senior tranche of that borrower pool. The senior tranche, the capital is supplied by liquidity providers. And as the junior tranche and the senior tranche are filled, that then sort of completes the borrower pool, and the borrower is able to then draw down that capital, use it as they will. They make their repayments, and hopefully everything is good to go. And so that's how all these pieces fit together. Now let's talk about some examples of how the protocol is being used today.
Yeah, because it's helpful to talk about it theoretically, but like already the Goldfinch protocol is serving real world borrowers around the world, and here are examples of 3 of them. So the first is a company called QuickCheck. They are based in Nigeria, and what they do is they provide loans to consumers. So consumers will download the QuickCheck app, and then they can get, say, a $50 loan on the spot through the app. So the Goldfinch protocol has already provided capital to QuickCheck to help them grow their business so they can make even more of these loans. So that's one example. The second example is the company Aspire. They provide financial services to SMEs throughout Southeast Asia, and as part of that, they provide working capital loans. So the Goldfinch protocol has extended financing to Aspire so that they can provide even more of these working capital loans to these businesses throughout a number of countries in Southeast Asia. And then the third example is a company called AlmaVest. They are a credit fund, and they are the first borrower to raise capital directly from the backers through one of these borrower pools. And what they do is they provide financing to a number of businesses in different sectors and different countries, but they focus specifically on inclusive lenders and carbon development projects. So now the Goldfinch protocol has provided capital to them, and they are starting to make loans to these types of businesses all around the world. So here are 3 examples of businesses in the real world that are already benefiting from capital from the Goldfinch protocol, and it's just one step closer to the Goldfinch protocol fulfilling this goal of being a decentralized credit protocol.
Yeah, that's a bit about how Goldfinch works. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.